Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and on those in the tombs bestowing life. Christos anesti ec necron thanato, thanaton patisas, getis sentis mnimas isoin charis amenos. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and on those in the tombs bestowing life.
I've just returned from Phoenix, Arizona, where I gave a parish retreat. And one of the things that came to light while I was there, and I heard this from many, many young people especially, is the disappointment that they were feeling in the behavior and the decisions of some of their priests and even bishops. One young person told me that they were so stressed out because their priest had allowed a person in transition from female to male to be ordained as a reader in their church. Totally unbiblical. And the priests saw no problem with this. I've seen this locally in the Washington State Orthodox Clergy Association, where there are a tiny minority of priests who have in many ways become woke. They've embraced liberal ideas as though Orthodox Christianity needs to be reformed. But the problem with that kind of reformation is that it is ultimately the dumbing down of the faith. It is a turning away of the apostolic truths that have been given to us, both from the Gospels and the early church fathers. It's not becoming bigots that is expected of us, but rather that we be bearers of the truth. We have national leaders that have turned their backs on scriptural teachings. We see this with the changing mentality within the military, where we see a promotion of transgenderism among the ranks, something that has brought great embarrassment to many of us is when we've seen embassies of the United States flying gay flags, not only in Moscow, which is essentially a slap in the face of Orthodox Christianity, but even at the Vatican, where a gay flag was hung in front of the embassy to the Vatican. What does this ultimately mean? It's not just a turning away from God, but it is that people have allowed themselves to be guided by the devil himself. I'm convinced that some of our politicians are demonically possessed, resulting in leading this country down into the abyss. Recently, I read of a Roman Catholic cardinal suggesting that Pope Francis is an apostate for the teachings that he's been perpetrating upon the Roman Catholic world. And just as I am saddened and even appalled by that, I've seen similar things within the Orthodox world. When Patriarch Bartholomew of Constantinople, in his desire to be a sort of Eastern Pope, would turn against the lawful canonical Church of the Ukraine, and together with the United States State Department, at the root of it all, encouraging a war that is continuing, where the head of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church was recently arrested, and the government threatening to put him up against a wall and shoot him, execute him. And the Metropolitan that was the head of the Kievan Caves Lavra, which is one of the largest and most historic churches in all of the land of the Rus, was taken over. And the 300 monks and the 1,000 seminarians ordered to leave, watching their lead bishop hauled away. All of this shows clearly demonic origins. So what do we do? One of the things that we Orthodox Christians need to remember is that the bishops are our fathers, and the bishops are our servants. We do not lockstep with whatever comes from the lips of a bishop. When we saw the break of communion between the Moscow Patriarchate and Constantinople after the fiasco of recognizing a false bishop and a false church in the Ukraine, the terrible thing that happened was that the new Greek Archbishop of the United States, in defense of the ecumenical patriarch, wrote a paper entitled "First Without Equal." That's heretical. We Orthodox have always seen that office as the first among equal, differentiating ourselves from the false teachings of the papacy. Now is the time that we Christians, whether we be bishops, priests, deacons, or simply lay people, pious lay people, to speak out and to tell our bishops and our patriarchs, enough of this. We want none of this. We want our faith back. We want our church back. We want the church preserved for the next generation. By remaining silent, we are aiding and abetting the demons that from the first century have done everything to bring down the Church of God. May God give us the courage and the strength to stand firm for the truth, that the Orthodox Church is the very church that Christ founded, and there is nothing about the church that needs reformation. We don't need our doctrines to change, for if they are changed to the ruin of ancient Christianity. May God give us the strength to stand firm for the true faith.
Both now and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen. Only begotten Son and immortal Word of God,